Hi, on this episode we visit with Ryan Leafey, owner and head coach of xAthletics. We discuss topics of gym ownership, CrossFit's headquarters involvement, diversity, and community outreach. See you there.
Okay, hi, it's Jess,
And I'm Brandon.
and this is In Lifting Color, and we are here today with a special guest, so please tell us about yourself, your name, where you're from, and what you got going on.
Ryan Leafey, known as Coach Leaf in the community coaching community. I'm from Ep.4, New Jersey. Graduated 2006 from Ep.4 High School.
Oh, 06, whoop whoop.
Graduated from Rome University 2010. Played sports growing up. And now I own a gym. Trying to build a brand.
Whoop whoop. Yes, we got to do this video at his location, Operation X. Also, I guess it's not CrossFit Northwood anymore. It's now Operation
So
X.
I think that's a good conversation.
Yes, tell us about this.
So Operation X, to timeline, 2013 is when I got CrossFit affiliated. My business started. At that time, Operation X CrossFit Northwood was a business. At the time, I had a partner. 2016 is when the partnership was split, and then I became sole proprietor of the business, xAthletics, home of CrossFit Northwood. That is our current status. That is our current business name. And there are some decisions on the affiliation part of things with CrossFit, which is, I think, was a bigger deal at one time than it is now. And there's more of an understanding of what direction we're going in as a business. But the idea is to build a brand and build a place where overall fitness is the key. Not just physical fitness, but mental, your spiritual, yoga. It's just it's an umbrella for well-being.
So it's xAthletics now.
xAthletics.
Okay,
Yes.
you got to get the name right. I can do that.
With no CrossFit affiliation, or is still CrossFit?
So we are still CrossFit affiliated. So the way CrossFit affiliation works, you pay per year. My affiliation isn't up until October. So for the rent till October, we're technically on paper, we're paid up through the year. But what does it really mean to be affiliated? What is it? Those are the questions. What is CrossFit standing for? I think that's how we got here. That's what brought us here today to start that conversation. So people just want to dive into that aspect of it.
Dive into it.
CrossFit, as you guys know, I think our people watching understand CrossFit is a community. CrossFit is a style of working out. But really, CrossFit is a word. CrossFit is a word that, as a business owner, you can buy into and sell the word. So I pay an affiliation fee to say, okay, we do CrossFit here. CrossFit doesn't tell you what workouts to do. CrossFit doesn't tell you how to program. CrossFit doesn't tell you how to build your community. CrossFit doesn't tell you how to treat your people. CrossFit is simply a word that you pay to use. Very smart business on their end. They branded a word. And obviously, in the midst of what we have going on right now in the realm, they got put under the fire, and some big changes have come in the headquarters and in the higher rankings of CrossFit. Not always, but I've struggled with CrossFit. One, again, because I've always felt like I've had to defend the word CrossFit, right? So in the beginning, 2013, when it first got started, CrossFit, that's dangerous. CrossFit, I can't do that. I got to get in shape to come to your gym. So it's just like I was always, so from the beginning, from the door, I've always had an issue with that word CrossFit because it does and did bring such a stigma.
Yeah.
And then the climates of the world that we are in 2020, the way things are being handled. And again, your CEO said this, I'm fighting another battle. Like, well, that's not us. We're not CrossFit, but you are CrossFit. But people see the word CrossFit, you immediately fit into a bubble.
Right. It's like you own the CrossFit word too.
And because you decide to affiliate yourself with that word, to some people, you are a type of person, or you follow
That's
type
very true.
of a way of thinking or something like
Yeah.
that. And that's the furthest thing from the case. Like I
Right.
said, from the beginning, CrossFit has been a word.
Right.
CrossFit is not my community. CrossFit is not me as a coach. CrossFit is it's an understanding. It's you can go anywhere in the world, say the word CrossFit, and you understand that you can see eye to eye with somebody.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I've said it before, you walk in an airport, you see somebody with neck on, you see somebody with
Yes.
blackowned. It's
Yeah.
just like there's an instant
Yeah.
connection.
Seriously.
So to me, that's what CrossFit is.
Yeah.
CrossFit is a universal community worldwide that is there's an understanding of, hey, that guy gets it, that girl gets it.
I've never thought about it like that, but I do feel like people say like, "Ooh, you do CrossFit, it's dangerous." Like you said, and I'm like, "No, I love it." Like you're always on defense, and like why? I've never thought about it like that, but it's very true. And like, why have they not fought against that? And like, how do you build a community in your space, like xAthletics community? That's like, yes, we do CrossFit, but we are a community because we're the xAthletics.
Right. I think you just as a leader, you have to communicate that. You have to be you got to have your own mission statement. CrossFit is they threw me an assist. CrossFit allows me to be pop up first when someone says CrossFit near me when they're traveling.
Yes, it does.
Someone that here's a cool story how their friend of a friend lost X amount of, or they changed their life through CrossFit, and it's like, well, what is CrossFit? Google CrossFit, and because we're affiliated, that's the business and the things, and it gives us that stamp, it gives us that validation. Because CrossFit is, we said it earlier, I think, still the best community in the world.
Yeah.
I think it's the we get it. Like it's a way of life. It's a way of life.
All of it.
It's a culture, and that's where it gets messy because culture is messy.
Culture is messy.
So, I mean, so you say that it's the best community, it's a culture, it's a way of life, and then where does the diversity of that culture and way of life start? Where do you start seeing it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you see it, you see it here at your own gym, but like when you go to other places, do you ever feel like, why isn't it more diverse? Or do you ever think like maybe if they did things like I do, it would be more diverse?
So I'm in a funny situation. I'm in this funny position. I've dealt with both sides of my life. So when I go somewhere and it's not diverse, I'm like, this is normal. Like my normal's always been the different. There's never been a room full of guys that look like me. So with my black friends, I'm the white one. When I'm with my white friends, I'm the black kid that they're comfortable with to speak how they want to speak.
Lord.
She good.
Because I mean, I've never been in that situation. I'm always the black one, but like that's
I mean, I understand it in terms of having siblings that go through it. I mean, not siblings, relatives, first cousins that go through it being black and Puerto Rican. So it's always like, and me and my cousin just had a conversation about this. He was like, we were like, so when you tell somebody like his ethnicity, what do you say? And I was just like, well, since you're from my black side, I always say you're black and Puerto Rican. And he's like, yeah, and I usually go, I'm Puerto Rican and black.
yeah.
So I was like, dang.
Right.
And it's a
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
So the question being, what is there? Do I see diversity in?
Yeah. Have you
I mean,
noticed what's been your experience with diversity in CrossFit?
CrossFit has
you've
always
in
been
it
a
for long time.
predominantly white space.
Right.
But why? Is the question.
Right.
Why? And I don't think it's intentional.
Right.
I don't think there's some CrossFit guys out there saying white people only.
Yeah.
But like, why is it that there's not diversity?
Yeah.
So I have more questions than I have answers. Like,
Yeah.
So like when it gets brought to me, it's like I'm not an expert. I don't know. I understand and recognize it, but like, why is that way?
Right.
And how do we implement that? How do we change that?
Yeah. Even as a box owner, like how do you, knowing that, like you said, CrossFit is like a predominantly white space, and as someone who is black and has an ownership in it, and you're like, all right, I'm creating the space, do you feel like, because I'm not gonna lie, it has been said like, well, y'all should go to his box because he's black, and black guys support black. And it's kind of like, do you feel like that model has kind of been like, well, we're going to his box because he's black? Do you think that has had any effect on your membership?
Like, how much of that do you think helps make your own gym more diverse? You being black yourself.
I think there's a certain level of comfort. I think everybody has to be comfortable. I always tell people, we spoke earlier, like, do you feel like some people leave communities because they're just not comfortable anymore? And anyone that does leave, I don't think there's much that you can do about it except for be welcoming. And my goal is always just be a good leader. So naturally, maybe my community and the culture that we have created has been molded to be, we'll say, more ethnic or diverse. And I've heard it. One of my buddies, when we first got started, you know Josh Winter. That guy's been to every box in the state of New Jersey.
He's a CrossFit nomad.
Yeah, but he's a smart dude, right?
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. And I remember when he brought it to my attention, some things never make sense to me until they're brought to my attention. He was like, bro, this is the most diverse place. And this is 2013. This is when we're all the way here in Dusty Drive. This is our first location. He was like, I've never been in a CrossFit box with a white mom, a cop, a doctor, and a convict. And it's like, he noticed that very, very early on. And that's what he was just like, just understand. He's always trying to get me to understand, like, you're doing something special.
Yeah.
Your place is different.
It is. It is.
How much of that, not to cut you off, sorry, how much of that do you think is how you grew up, though? And then also, because let's be honest, a lot of the people that are part of your community also grew up with you. Yeah. So, I mean,
Tell us
does
about
that
where,
play?
because I'm not from here. So, like, where you grew up, was it kind of like a mixed bag?
So that's where Northwood comes from. CrossFit Northwood. I live in Northwoodbury. I grew up in Northwoodbury. It's a section of Deptford as well. Everybody's got a different zip code, but we all go to the same Deptford High School. So there's a part of town where a lot of lines meet. But North Woodbury is like 3 streets long, 3 streets big, wide, and it was cool because yesterday there was a group of us that were all together now, kids, families, things of that nature. And we've been together for like 20 plus years. So it's a so I grew up in a small knit community, and it has always looked different. There's always been black, white, brown, different languages being spoken.
Yeah.
So is that an overflow into, and molded me into who I am, and then gave me the energy and the capabilities of welcoming all types of people? I definitely think that plays a part. I think where, why, and how I grew up is a big deal, a big reason why we've been able to build the community that we have.
So do you think that type, like your situation, so if a white gym owner or head coach, if that's how they grew up, just say they grew up like you, do you think that might reflect in their communities too, just from an upbringing like that? Or do you think it still would be very, very non-diverse?
I think we're all products of our environment. But can you fault someone for that? I don't think you can. Like, you can't. If he grew up the way he grew up, there's a part of him that, like, that's who he's going to be naturally. Now it becomes when, as a human, as a grown up, and like, what can you grow from?
Right.
How can you grow? So if you're making a decision to stay in this cycle, this mindset, then I don't know how to help that person.
Right.
But I think you can be brought up not in my situation and still learn and grow into a person that is accepting of all types of.
Yeah. But it also, I think, kind of like you said, we can't fault somebody for how they grew up. And like, if like you're a product of your environment and you kind of are like, if I grew up, if there's an owner that grew up in a very white space and then doesn't recognize like our gym is, like CrossFit is not diverse. Like people are saying right now, like I've always thought it was diverse because they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So when you've already instilled this culture of like, nah, I'd know if this did not look right. Like I'd know if my community didn't reflect my values and what I grew up understanding. But now we have this situation, I think, that we're seeing right now in society where places are like, shoot, CrossFit is real white. Like, I feel like now they're having these conversations of like, well, how can we make it more diverse? How can we? And it's like interesting for this to have been the spark where you're like, but I've been creating this environment.
And that's, I'm with them. It's not, whose fault is it that
Right.
there's a white owner's fault because the business that they operate is predominantly white, and if they're not saying, they don't have a sign on the door that says whites only.
Right.
There's not, why aren't we, as a people, invested in the lifestyle, CrossFit, whatever, call it what you want. The community that we're talking about is based around fitness. Mm-hmm. I think we can, do we have a problem in fitness? Do we have a problem? Is it a problem? Why? I just have more whys than I have answers. You know what I mean? Why do you go to a competition? You go to the top levels and there's very few African Americans, but it's not because they're not better athletes.
Right.
You know what I mean? But because we can have a white guy say we need diversity in the NBA.
Right.
No, but I say this to get back to the original why of not walking through the door. And I've said this to you before. It's sometimes people see what you have to go through to be part of that type of fitness.
It's the word.
And then mentally they're just I don't want to put my body through that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's across the board for why more people still go to a LA Fitness or an Edge Fitness than they do walk into a CrossFit gym. It's because
I feel like it circles back to
the
that
style of CrossFit.
Right.
You're supposed to feel very uncomfortable when you do CrossFit.
Or you're putting your own perceptions on, that's gonna hurt, I can't do it. Like you said, now we're back to defending the word CrossFit and being like, no, you're not gonna die. So
now my question is back circling all the way back to when I had me making the decision of do I stay affiliated or do I not?
Yeah.
Yo, CrossFit, what's up? Can I get a commercial? on daily TV?
Yeah, what do you,
Because only time people see this, so I'm trying to figure out why there is this perception, why people don't walk through the door. So in my mind, it's saying because the stigma is there because that's the only thing that they see. They see CrossFit on TV once a year on ESPN, and
it's the game.
They're watching the NFL of our fitness, not understanding yes, there's an NFL, there's a professional level, but everybody plays pickup football,
right?
And that's what we're doing. We're playing is pickup CrossFit,
right?
It's pickup. You know what I mean? So grandmom, you can do it. Middle-aged soccer mom, you can do it. But there is a sport to it, and when CrossFit only shows that end of it. That's what I think hurts us as a business.
Yeah, what would you say? So would you say, can we get more to the grassroots crew, more to the people that are in the towns and the communities versus only televising the, like you said, the Olympics of our fitness level? Or how would you bring it to CrossFit and say, listen, here's what I've noticed as an owner, and maybe this would help with your diversity. Maybe this would help with getting more members. Maybe this would help. What would you say?
There's always been a communication, I won't say barrier, but there's not much communication between the affiliate owner and HQ.
That's what I was going to ask.
And it's a catch-22 because, like I said, they don't put their hands in anything that I do. Mm-hmm. So it's almost thank you, but then there's another end of it, you are a brand. How can you help us? But then if you're asking for help, you're asking for them to control something.
But what do you think about doing what you just said on your own? Having a commercial on TV, right?
That's what happened. So grassroots, it's up to us. It's up to us to get into these communities. How do we bring diversity into a box? Besides just being yourself, you go out into these
that's what I said,
communities. You go out into these outreach. And now CrossFit, they're trying. They did the thing in Atlanta. The new owner, CEO.
Oh, yeah, the scholarship.
That's what has to be done.
Right.
Because clearly, as a people, we're not supposed to walk through the door. It hasn't happened yet. It's up to us to go into the community on the front lines and soften it up for it. It's up to us to be in that position.
So me and him agree where it should be a bottom-up effect almost.
Okay. Were you trying to make sure you guys agree?
I'm just saying. I mean, we have multiple episodes now where people are throwing out their ideas. We have, our previous episode, that person felt that it was a top down.
I think it's a top down in running things.
I feel like it's a bottom up, and I don't like to call it a bottom up, but I feel like it should start where the community really is. Mm-hmm. The community isn't up here. The community is here, at here and there. And
Hashtag here.
That's what.
Gotcha.
That's where the community is. The HQ isn't the community, and if this is one of quote unquote one of the best fitness communities there is,
Yeah.
it has to be. We have to make the changes and the decisions and the.
And I mean, we've seen it. So Andre Cruz just actually posted this yesterday. We've seen what can happen when the community starts to say, get it together. Because when people did start saying, hey, this doesn't reflect my values, we're going to disaffiliate, that's when the changes were made that were hopefully going to bring the changes that the communities wanted to see.
Right.
And they were like, okay, so we did this, and now that we see the vision maybe coming together, like, you know, kind of like the protests, like we hope that we're not going to just get changes from the top government officials without our community saying we need to change. So it's kind of like you said, like if the gym owners, the affiliate owners, their communities in those gyms say something's got to change, then it floods to the top because it's effective.
The top can do what they want, but it's just like, I mean, government, it's all the same idea. Like, what, that doesn't matter. I don't care who the president is. Mm-hmm. But will they have, what they do have some effect on my life? Maybe in a public setting, in a maybe a culture. I don't know, but I can't worry about what HQ's doing. Mm-hmm. Because if I take CrossFit away from my business and my business implodes, that's not HQ's fault. That's my fault. Mm-hmm. That's my fault. Mm-hmm. CrossFit, again, was a great entry level. They allowed me to build my community, my brand. Yeah. But they aren't. That's the beautiful thing. So if you're out here solely depending on CrossFit and how they move up top and what their image is up there, I think you need to look in the mirror and reflect and say, what can I do to keep my business? Because if CrossFit disappears, I need to be good.
Right.
This X needs to be survived.
Yeah. So,
and I think because I've had that mindset from the beginning, CrossFit can do whatever they want. Thank you. If I'm going to pay into it, I'm paying into the value that I think they bring on it, marketing and advertising. Yeah. The stamp.
When you need CrossFit near me, it'll come up.
So then this might be a touchy question. Did you feel that they needed to say something
when Greg Glassman?
No, not then, but like when Floyd happened, and then we have all the protests and all that stuff.
Man, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and you have a responsibility when you're that. Any leader has a responsibility to address something that affected the world as impactful as that was in such a short period of time. Mm-hmm. How are you sitting up there in HQ understanding that what the world is going through and all the boxes and affiliations that you have in place, and you're not going to address that? I think that's irresponsible on their part. But goes back to that's how disconnected they are. Mm-hmm. That's how disconnected it is to be in that HQ position and here. Yeah. They don't know me. Right. They have nothing. So I don't want to say identify. I can't depend on how HQ moves and the success of my business.
Did you feel a lot of pressure as a gym owner for you to say something? So kind of like you said, so it starts here. Did you feel a lot of pressure when things were happening, when George Floyd was murdered, when CrossFit started making their moves? Did you feel a lot of pressure to say something or make a statement?
I felt it necessary to immediately connect with my members on a one-to-one, on a small group, on an eye-to-eye level. Because, again, maybe it's because of my ethnicity, because of who I am, that they supported me more. They were the ones making it tough. I mean, like, making it an issue. Like, my people stood up for me, whereas if I was white, maybe I do feel pressure. So pressure, to answer the question, no, not at all pressure. I felt it brought us closer. So, but is that only because I'm a black male? Because if I'm a white male, white female, gym owner, now it's like just like HQ. So what are you going to say, HQ?
Yeah, that's true.
What are you going to do now? What are you going to do? What do you want to say, gym owner? Yeah. You're a white man. Say something.
Yeah.
Fix this problem. I'm a black. I'm whatever I am. I'm black and white. I'm mixed. And because it might affect me differently, the people are looking at me like, take your time, sir.
Interesting.
Take your time and let this play out. We're here.
Which is interesting because now that I'm saying that, like, I think that's true. Like, again, because it's such a white space, like, I think I've seen a lot of gym owners that are white that are like, well, my gym wanted me to say something, blah, blah, blah. But as the black owners, like, were they just like, this has been affecting me, like, so yes, I want my community to support me, but they've been supporting me.
Right.
And now we have.
But all right, is that fair?
I don't know.
Is that fair that we're sitting, that as soon as something like this happens, we turn our eyeballs to the white gym owner that holds a space for and
no, that's
I have a hard time because I believe in humans.
Yes.
I have a hard time. I don't think, and maybe I'm naive, I don't think there's gym owners out there like, again, my community is white and we're going to stay white.
Right.
I think that's just how the cards unfold.
Right.
So is it fair? Should they? I don't know. It's all individual.
And then it goes back to like what you were saying. I don't know if you said it on camera, if we were talking earlier. Like if that gym that maybe never officially said we're going to stay white or has not made the decision to say something, then maybe you weren't supposed to be there anyway. Maybe they're just not a part of your community.
Right.
Maybe that's just don't identify with that.
Right.
That doesn't change that one gym versus 11 gyms that are on the right side of history, as our guy kept saying. That doesn't change that they want to be part of the movement and they want to be supportive of Black people.
Some of that stuff is just that. I feel like some of that stuff is subconscious and just comfortability as well. Like there's probably plenty of people that just aren't comfortable enough to have their gym more diverse as well. I feel like because they're too worried about the clientele they already have. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's just sticky.
Well, I also think they don't know how. Like, how do you think?
And how to but also it's location too. Like there's just places where there isn't any diversity anyway.
Well,
to get a more diverse gym. Like,
that too, but also I think it depends on
who
you see. Because I think your gym, I think one of the other reasons that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only seen pictures, but I think your gym also has a lot of leadership that's also diverse. Coaches that are Black and brown, women, like when you create your leadership culture to also reflect what your views are. Like you said, I believe in humans. That means I don't think I should have only male coaches. That doesn't mean I think I should only have white guys coaching or whatever. When your vision automatically reflects what you believe to be true and good humanity, then that trickles down too. When people see, oh, my coach is somebody that looks like me, I could do this sport, I could become a leader too, and then you're raising up your community. Do you think that's had anything to do with it too? And I don't know, I think you have another Black male coach.
Yeah, my best friend Antoine.
Yes.
He's Spanish Black male.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Since the beginning.
Just want to make sure.
But I think, again, it goes back to they're just not in diverse areas. We're in Cherry Hill. We're like, Steve's Club is the closest thing to Camden. You know what I mean? Like, is it root level? We need to go into these communities and set up shop. And then you say, well, where's assistance? It's tough. It's tough.
But I mean, it's 50-50 because there is, you talk about the boxes that are in major cities,
right? And
they're still predominantly white,
right.
100%
like right
white.
so
okay, I see this. So you're saying, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So like, there's the suburb ones where they might get the benefit of the doubt, like, or in the rural gyms that are like in the middle of the country, whatever. But you have a lot of these cities, New York City, Chicago, Philly,
right.
whatever, in the middle of a city where you know that whole city is diverse, and you
Right.
still walk in there and it's just. Again, it's a
Or
whiteout,
even
so it's
people will travel for a gym, right? Like people don't only live in this town that come to your gym. They'll come from other towns to come to your gym, you know?
So is it a pricing thing? Is it again, I have more questions because just to feed off of you. I agree 100%. You go to these major cities that you know are the most diverse places in the world, and you go into a CrossFit box and it's predominantly white.
Do you think there's a way, because there's also been question of how do we get even more Black and brown people? Like you could be somebody that speaks on, I mean, we don't really have a regional level of like HQ or a regional like CrossFit like thing.
That's their plan.
Which would be good because then that's more voices.
Right. Their idea is to have a representative and a board for each state.
Yeah.
So now that the affiliate owner, this is new. affiliate owner can directly communicate with your state representative, and then they can take all the collective ideas to HQ, and then that's how they see. That's how they're trying to better the communication,
Which will make a big difference.
which I think is a very good step in the right direction.
Woo! Man, so many gems. Well, now we're getting into the fun part. We have a fun game, and it's called This, That, or Other.
Okay.
We'll only ask 3 questions, but we'll give you 2 choices. It's kind of like a would you rather, but you can also choose other in case you don't like our questions.
Okay.
Okay. So our standard question, as we've started with, is Martin, Fresh Prince, or other?
I'm gonna go Martin.
So the next one is pancakes or waffles, or other?
Pancakes.
Pancakes. So, Biggie or Tupac, or other, if that's not even either of your choices.
Tupac was too gangster for me. I gotta say Biggie. I like Biggie's storytelling. Biggie had feelings.
Yeah, it was insightful. It's also really sweaty. When you're live, it's sweaty, so we're gonna cut this now.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Ryan, for being here. Any plugs? You got plugs for people, places, things, your box?
You can follow me, my fitness page, The Leaf Show, my coaching page, Coach Leaf_X, xAthletics on Instagram for the box. And just shout out to you guys for having these conversations. And I don't want to say it's uncomfortable, but it's like it's shining a light that we should be able to have these conversations without there being some type of offense taken, or like this is how you make change, and I'm grateful for you guys. Because I'm watching from the outside.
You're witnessing.
I'm witnessing it.
All right, you keep leading, witness. Thank you again, and we're gonna stand up so we stop sweating. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Lift and love all day, every day. Like and subscribe.